One question that's come up in a number of forums where we've gotten some questions has been around our enrollment numbers and how those relate to, for example, what was in the SHADE Act report and so forth. So I want to just quickly address that issue and give you a little bit more insight into what we report in the board packet and how that relates to some of the other numbers you might see. So the enrollment numbers that are in today's board deck are meant to provide board members a cumulative look at the total numbers of people who have selected a plan and paid their first month's premium. We started there because for many months, before we were actually getting actual information about enrollment from the carriers, this number served as a way for us to, both at MNsure and for the board, to see if people were actually enrolling. What you found is that the numbers, for example, provided by the SHADE Act report and more recently Preferred One about enrollments show that the numbers are lower than what we've reported in the board deck. And that happens for a couple of reasons. One is that people come in and they might have a life event, and they might have an addition to coverage, they might be a subtraction from coverage. The number of people who are enrolled is literally changes by the day. It's a very dynamic thing, and so we see that sort of movement in and out, and that's captured in how many people at any given time are actually enrolled. They might, for example, drop off their coverage because they became eligible for coverage under a spouse's policy outside MNsure. They might become eligible for another type of assistance, Medicaid or Minnesota Care, or they might not pay their premiums, which means that their coverage would lapse. And so some of that churn has always been the case in the individual market, and it continues to be the case in MNsure. Right now, when you kind of compare what we report through the board metrics to what we are getting back information from the plans, we're running at around 85 or so percent, 80 to 85% of folks that are reported in the metric who are actually enrolled. And again, it's not an apples to apples because there is this churn that occurs, but I think that's been a question people have asked, so I just wanted to address that and give you some reasons why that is occurring. Essentially, at the bottom line, we define enrolled for the purposes of the dashboard report as meaning that a person has selected a plan and a payment method, and that's what gets reported out. After that, people enroll, they pay or they don't pay, and churn occurs.